Hey everybody, welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hey there. Welcome to episode number 156 of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh. This is where we talk all things self-improvement. And I really emphasize the word self because for those of you that listen to me all the time and work with me privately, you know I am all about being focused on ourselves. We have no control over other people and places and things and what other people do, how they behave. The only thing we really have power over is ourselves. That's why it's called self-improvement. But you know, we have this habit of getting in this cycle of blaming others. It's because of this. It's because of my job. It's because of my spouse. It's because I don't have any money. We blame all these other things. But really the key is to be self-focused. And that's what we talk about here, how to get better. I am a recovering alcoholic, so of course I talk a ton about addiction and recovery because that's what led me to this journey of self-discovery, self-improvement, personal development. And it has been fantastic. It's one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me is being an alcoholic. And I love it and I'm super proud of it. It challenges me every single day of my life. And thank you for being here and listening to the pod. Today, we're going to talk about how to stop worrying. And when I say stop, like obviously you're not going to go through these things and bam, all your worrying is going to magically disappear, right? Like this takes practice. You know that everything we talk about on this show takes practice. And you just really have to be intentional and continue doing it. That's how you get better at it. But this is something that everybody struggles with, right? Alcoholics for sure, addicts for sure. But anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the United States. 40 million adults. So you have to know everybody is roaming around this planet worrying, okay? That's a lot of people. So this isn't specific to alcoholics and addicts, right? A ton of people have anxiety, and anxiety comes out in different ways for different people too. Some people, when they get anxious, they get very quiet and retreat and isolate. Other people, when they get really anxious or they're worrying about something, they get grumpy and irritable and snappy. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Stop worrying. We're going to go through a process of sort of how to analyze things, how to get your thoughts in the right place, how to not let them get the best of you, which is the most important part of that. And that's what we're going to talk about. Before we jump into that, I have a lot of really cool things coming up for you guys. April is going to be an extremely busy month, so keep your eyes open. I'm going to do some episodes about summer because, you know, I always say, especially when you're getting sober, like you have to go through all the seasons, right? This first year of recovery is so important because you go through all the seasons because every season has its own stuff. Every season has holidays, your personal family things, birthdays, family gatherings, right? We have all these rituals and celebrations, and it's so important to go through your first year and get through all those things. So we're coming up in summer. Summer has its own challenges, and especially coming out of quarantine where things are starting to open up a little bit more. Kids are going to be getting out of school, but we're going to have the pools opening and parties and kids events where the parents are getting wasted, which is so funny to me. I don't have kids, so I didn't even know this was a thing. Like I can't imagine everybody getting together for kids events and the adults are all drinking. It just blows my mind. But it's funny. I mean, it makes sense. I guess everybody's drinking, so We're going to do some episodes about summer, how to plan your summer, how to look at things, how to make it through those social events. And you guys know too, you can always reference back. Every holiday season, I do an episode about how to stay sober through the holidays and social situations. So the outline is kind of the same, just things to think about before you go to an event, because that's the key, you guys. You have to think about it before. Get your plan in place before you are in a dangerous or uncomfortable situation. So keep your eyes open for that. The last two things I want to tell you about is just things to keep an eye on. So I go live every Friday in my professional Facebook group and in the Addiction Unlimited Facebook group. Now, these are not super long lives. I have a topic. Typically, somebody will email me a question or something will get my attention, and I'll just do a live video and answer the question or talk about a certain topic. That's on my professional Facebook page, Angela Pugh, Professional Coach, and also in the Addiction Unlimited Facebook group. That is our private group. Nobody can see you're in there. If you are not in that yet, jump in Facebook, get in that group. It's awesome. It's so supportive. It's such a fun place to be. And that's Addiction Unlimited group. If you go on Facebook and search Addiction Unlimited, you'll find the private group, and you'll probably find my professional coach page also, because I think it's under Addiction Unlimited podcast. So every Friday I go live. That's where you find those videos. And the second and final thing before I get into our topic today is Clubhouse. We have been doing every Sunday, Sober Sunday on Clubhouse. This has been fantastic. It's getting bigger each week. We're getting incredible feedback about it. You guys heard last week's Addiction Unlimited episode with Brock Bevel, undercover agent to undercover addict. Such a crazy and phenomenal story. Brock is my co-pilot on Clubhouse for Sober Sunday. He's a coach also. He's been sober a long time also. And what we typically do is throw out a topic or a question for everybody in the room, and we just talk about it. It's that simple. This is not a traditional 12-step meeting or smart recovery meeting. It's nothing like that. This is an open discussion where we want to get together, talk about our sobriety, celebrate our victories, and start our Sober Sunday the right way. So keep an eye out for that on Clubhouse. The easiest way to get on Clubhouse is if you have a friend that's already on there and they can send you an invite. So Clubhouse app, I think it's called Clubhouse Audio Drop-In Chat or something. The title is kind of weird, but it's Clubhouse app. Sober Sunday. I hope I see you there. And that is all the announcements I have. Okay. Now let's jump into this. Stop worrying. Okay. We're going to talk about a few things to think about in how to get your thoughts back down to right size. Because one of the things we are famous for is really blowing our thoughts way out of proportion. We let it get the best of us. We ruminate on it. We twist it up. It's catastrophizing, just blowing it all out of proportion and thinking about the worst case scenario. And that is the first thing that I want to talk about in this. Recognize when you're focusing on the worst case scenarios, right? Are you focusing on negative outcomes? Are you focusing on things that are beyond your control? Worst case scenarios. And think about this really as you're caught up in anxiety. Is this what you're doing? Are you going to all the worst things that could possibly happen? And sometimes I'll go a step further than that just to break down this worry in my head and try to interrupt those thoughts and get them right-sized instead of blown out of proportion. I'll take it a step further and I'll think, okay, well, if that's the worst thing that can happen, well, what happens then? If the worst thing that can happen is somebody says no, like say I have a big proposal, which I actually have a very big business meeting coming up that I'm super excited about. And what if they say no? What if they say, we're not interested, it's not the right fit, now's not the right time? So what? What does that mean? So what happens then? Is it really that big of a deal? Or will I just figure out and create a new opportunity? Like really think it through. Like what is the worst thing that can happen? And what happens if that happens? You guys have to remember that we get caught up in all this anxiety and worry. And, they say that the majority of the things that we worry about never even happen. Think about how much energy we waste worrying about things that never happen. It's really silly when you think about it. All this stuff flying through your head that ruins your mood, that sucks up your energy, that makes you feel bad. And the majority of it never even happens. It is just a waste. So let's get it right sized. Number one, focus on, are you thinking about the worst case scenario? Are you going to the absolute worst things? And if you are, what happens if that happens? Because keep in mind, you have survived every challenging situation you've ever faced. I know that because you're here listening to the show. If you didn't survive, you wouldn't be here listening to the show right now. So you get through every challenge you have, you overcome it, you figure it out. That doesn't mean it's always comfortable. It doesn't mean it's always easy. It means you have to remember you are capable and you can get through whatever life throws at you. You are perfectly capable of getting through anything and everything. So remember that if you go to worst case scenarios, remember your ability and what you are capable of handling. The other thing I want to talk about in this recognized stage is, are you really focusing on uncertainty? Is that what your worry stems from? Uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be good at it. I don't know if I'm going to be judged for it. I don't know how people are going to treat me. Uncertainty is challenging for sure, especially for people with addiction, right? Because we're control freaks. I think we are control freaks because you've heard me talk about this 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways. Having routines and habits creates a sense of safety because you know what's going to happen. That's why we thrive with routines, because it creates a sense of knowing. There's no uncertainty. I know what I'm going to do. I know where I'm going to be at what time. I know how this goes. So there's a sense of safety and stability in that. So a lot of times when we're worrying, it's about uncertainty. And what if I'm not up for this? What if things don't go the way I planned them to? What if I screw it up? Those are all valid thoughts. At the same time, what if it goes really well? What if you knock it out of the park? What if you exceed all expectations? And as far as things not going according to plan, any of us that have been on this planet for a while definitely know a lot of things don't go as planned. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes it's a pain in the arse, but it's okay, you guys. We pivot, be a little flexible. You figure out a new solution. We are intelligent, capable beings. We can handle all of this stuff. So if you get into uncertainty and all those what ifs, I want you to take the what if the other direction. What if I crush it? What if they love me? What if this goes way better than I ever thought it did? And what if I don't make any mistakes? Right? Take that the other direction. Next, I want to talk about assessing if your worries are real or imagined. The reason I bring this up Well, it's just like we talked about a few minutes ago. Because we blow things out of proportion. We catastrophize. We go to the worst case scenario. And that is imagined. That is not real. There's no evidence to support the catastrophe is going to happen, right? It's just my head getting the best of me. Really think about this. Am I dealing with an actual problem, or have I created a problem? Am I lacking control? And what is the evidence? What is the evidence that supports the thought that I'm having, right? Because I have to figure out if I'm creating a situation that isn't accurate, right? Am I blowing it out of proportion? Or is there some evidence to support my worry? If the evidence to support your worry is based on your past behavior, like, okay, let's take relapse as an example. If I am worried, I'm getting sober, let's say I'm on day 26. I don't know why I picked that number, 26. And my worry is, I'm going to relapse. Oh my gosh, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to be good at it. I'm going to disappoint everybody, right? You go crazy in that thought process. If your evidence is, I'm afraid I'm going to relapse because I've relapsed before, that is entirely in your control. There is no uncertainty there. You can be certain you don't relapse by making choices to protect yourself, protect your sobriety, do the right things, and don't put a bottle of booze in your hand. So that is within your control. Whatever you did last week doesn't mean you have to do the same thing today. Whatever you did 5 hours ago doesn't mean you have to do it again today, right now. So assess, is this imagined or is it real? What's the evidence? What does the evidence tell me? Because I would say in that relapse scenario, the evidence should tell you that you are perfectly capable of doing this. Alcohol is not chasing you down the street and pouring itself in your mouth. This is within your power to make different choices to protect yourself and not end up in that space, right? That's the evidence. You are capable. You are strong enough. You are smart enough. You are perfectly capable. That's your real evidence. Next, I want to talk a little bit about attitude in this. Because when you're worrying, try to focus on shifting your attitude, not to one of getting down, beating yourself up and that sort of thing, but let worry motivate you to take action. Let worry be your indicator that you need to do something. Let worry be your indicator that you need to take a minute and get present in the moment you're in, instead of future tripping and worrying about the uncertainty of the future, whatever that might be, right? So take that moment in your mindset and your attitude to make it empowering. Get in the present moment. Okay, cool. Whatever might happen next week in my business meeting might happen. I don't know how it's going to go. The evidence tells me I'm pretty kick-ass, so I'm probably going to crush this thing. That's what the evidence tells me. But I don't know that. I might go sit down with these people. They may not like me at all. Maybe I'm not their cup of tea. Who knows? But what that's going to do for me is it's going to make me get prepared. I want to stay in this moment. What can I do right now to work on making that outcome what I want the outcome to be? I'm going to get prepared. I'm not going to future trip and, freak out on the meeting and what might happen. Am I going to knock over a glass of water and embarrass myself and not be able to speak? Who knows? What I do know is in this moment, if I prepare myself and I plan properly, I'm going to do much better. And that's what I want you to think about, especially as you're going into uncomfortable situations where you have that uncertainty. You need to plan ahead of time. Then remember that things will very rarely be as bad as you think they're going to be. That's just the truth. So remember, as all these thoughts are going crazy and getting bigger and we're twisting them up and catastrophizing, remember just that one thing. Things are rarely as bad as I think they might be. So there's your evidence for sure. And I want to stick with this mindset, attitude topic, okay, for these last few things, because this is the most important part. You know that. Whatever happens in your head, whatever messages you're giving yourself, that's really what determines your outcome. Because if you're beating yourself up, beating yourself down, telling yourself, worry, 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 catastrophe, you can't do this is going to be hard. If that's the story you're telling yourself, then that will be the truth. So I want you to think about switching these thoughts again and thinking about, what do I have power over? What do I have power over in this moment? Like I said a minute ago, I know I can't determine the outcome of my business dinner, but in this moment, I know that I can plan properly and I can prepare myself properly, and that will give me a better outcome. That's what I have power over, myself in this moment and what I can do going into that situation. And what's beyond your control, right? People, places, things. We don't have any control over those outside things. So try not to get too caught up in that. Leave people alone. Stop trying to control people. Stop trying to control every meeting you're in. Stop trying to control how people talk or what they do, how they behave. Stop getting mad at people. We don't have any control over that stuff. Leave people alone. Focus on yourself and make sure you're being your best people, okay? And think about what empowering story you can tell yourself. And this is what I want to leave on. Again, attitude and mindset. If you tell yourself you can't, that will be the truth. Why don't we shift that story? Telling yourself you can. You are capable. You have the tools. You know what to do. You're perfectly capable of taking action and doing the right things and following through, protecting yourself, doing the best job you can do. Now, listen, if I want to get caught up in some laziness, I can do that too, but I can't blame that on other people or situations or coronavirus. That's me. That's my choice and what I choose to do from minute to minute. Am I choosing to be lazy? Am I choosing to not do something because I feel like it's a pain? Most of the time, yes. Or am I fighting through that and figuring it out and figuring out the solution and doing the right thing for me because I want to care for me? That's the story I want you to tell yourself. I am capable of doing this. I can do this. I will do this. I know how to do this. That's the story I want you to tell yourself. Okay? That's a lot of stuff to think about. So that is our Stop Worrying episode. I hope you love this. If you do love it, take a minute and share this episode with somebody. If you know somebody that struggles with this stuff, even if they're not an addicted person, like I said, 40 million people are running around the United States with anxiety, right? And that's where worry comes from, is anxiety. So share this episode with somebody. Don't forget about our Facebook Lives. Every Friday, I go live. And I told you where to find that. Jump in the Addiction Unlimited Facebook group, and it will stream there every Friday at 1 p.m. my time. I don't know what that is your time. And then jump on Clubhouse for Sober Sunday. This is a lot of stuff you guys have to spend time with me. and Clubhouse and Facebook Live is live. Both of them are live, where we can interact and engage, especially on Clubhouse. That's really fun. We get to have an actual conversation, and I love that. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.